And hello everybody, and we are live here on the Premier Sim Gaming League's YouTube channel for live coverage of Formula 5. My name is IceHooks, and I'm glad to be back with you with round number 5 of the F5 World Championship. And we are just at the penultimate round of the halfway point of the season. 12 rounds of this World Championship have brought us now to Monaco, and we are just getting ready for short qualifying action around the tight streets of Monte Carlo. Again, my name is IceHooks. I'm going to be calling all of the action for you here today in what is bound to be a very interesting race, to say the least. Monaco is one of those tracks where it's really never exactly known what's going to happen here. League races, of course, Monaco, a tight track, very difficult to make overtakes work around here. And if you are watching the top leagues of PSGL, then you know that pole position has won 5 of the last 6 races in the top divisions of the series. So we'll have to wait and see whether or not pole position is going to work out in that case. As we are just getting ready, we are just waiting for a few more drivers to load up into the lobby, and we will get set with F5 action. Again, glad to be back with you, ladies and gentlemen. And these are what we are going to get ready for. And all the drivers are definitely getting very excited for what is going to be an interesting round. Again, Monte Carlo, Monaco, you all know the track. It's one of the longest running tracks on the Formula 1 calendar, running since the 1950 inaugural season of Formula 1. But of course, this season we did not get Monaco due to the coronavirus pandemic. We will be returning to the track, and we're just getting ready for the startup. It looks like we're just going to be having 17 drivers on the grid. Not too sure if we'll be getting any more. But nonetheless, we are just waiting for the start of the race. Let's go over the championship lineup as it stands right now. Of course, as we get set for action here, let me just pull up the standings and we can go over exactly how it's shaping up to go. And it is VER Mike K who still leads the championship, 6 points in the last round there in France, has put him up to 38 points in the lead in the championship. MMA Slash sitting in P2 with 31 points, scoring just a point less than Mike K in the last round. Little Romanino, despite being promoted, still holds the 3rd place in the championship, which doesn't bode well for the rest of the competitors in the championship. Devin 34043 in the Haas has 24 points, tied with Dertamo in the Red Bull. Tim Wentic, a reserve driver, now has been dropped out of his seat. He will be replaced by VER Jules, who now has the full-time Racing Point seat. Congratulations to him. He has been working very, very hard to get that seat, and now he has it. Tim Wentic has dropped out and will now just be a reserve driver, as he sits 6th in the championship with 22 points. But VER Jules, really one of the more standout drivers in terms of overall performances in the season. Going down the order still, we have Alpha Aziz in the Renault in 7th position. Ollie Flavel in the Williams. Spaghetti Chips in 9th position. And VER Jules actually sitting 10th position. Michelizzi sitting 11th. Lewis down in 12th. Again, we really don't expect Lewis to be down that far. We've seen some great performances. Just little mistakes here and there, unfortunately, have kept him lower than he probably should be. And going down the rest of the grid order, it's Matt in 13th, 14th for XL Gary, JT Giletto in 15th, 16th for Mark C. QVR Cortez is the last driver with at least points on the season, as there are a lot of drivers yet to score points for their respective outfits. Now, let's get set, ladies and gentlemen. We have 17 cars on the grid. Let me get the track map. Let's get the lap data up, and we are ready for qualifying as a couple of drivers have already decided that they want to come out on track. Both of the racing points come out pretty much simultaneously, and there is Jules in his full-time racing point seat, split by one of the Haas's. His teammate Quicksilver seems to be the first driver who will be getting out on track, but he is going to quickly let the Haas, and it looks like his teammate possibly by as well. Now we have to be careful here. Of course, per PSGL rules, you are not allowed to give your teammate slipstream, so drivers are going to want to make sure to keep a keep a good distance from their teammates so that not to pick up any slipstream. They may get in trouble here, as both of the racing points are in the same order with each other. But most drivers out on outlaps. There is Mike K, championship leader in the blacked out Mercedes, going through the tunnel section right now. Can he put it together for pole position here today? We'll have to wait and see. Some say the qualifying is the most exciting part of the Monaco weekend. We'll have to wait and see. There is Quicksilver again. He's coming through now the chicane and about to start his lap. But again, he's got Jules ahead of him, actually. So Jules has gone ahead, but again, they got to be careful here, as both racing points very close to each other. They want to make sure they're not picking up slipstream. Meanwhile, Jules has started his lap as he comes into turn number 1, using as much of the curb as possible, but keeping that front left tire ahead of the curb, as so not to have a corner cut. Now coming into Casino Square, pretty much beautiful now right through there, and now braking hard and a bit of a lockup, and you've got to do that to keep it out of the wall, and somebody's letting a car by right there. And coming through the hairpin, that tight hairpin, one of the tightest corners in Formula 1, now coming up towards the tunnel section. QVR Cortez letting by Jules, as Jules cutting it close to the wall there before now coming up to the next chicane. And a big lockup again, using as much curb as possible. So close to the wall, as now coming towards the swimming pool chicane. And oh my goodness, looks like he just kept it out of the wall there. And now he's got Matt Tebow to possibly navigate. Matt Tebow does get out of the way, and big locks up again, and he keeps it nice and tidy coming into the final turn. Back on the power early. Devin is actually going to set the first lap of the session. Will Jules follow? Yes, he will, but it will not be nearly as fast. A 1:85 is currently the time setter. Quicksilver, his teammate, goes 4th fastest. XL Gary going 3rd fastest. Matt Tebow does not yet have a time on the board. Mark C.P. is going to be coming up. VR Mike K, his teammate, is currently 2nd fastest. Where will Mark C go? 4th fastest for him. Let's go ride on board with, let's see who's going to be setting a lap. Dertamo looks to be setting a lap now. Ollie Flavel. Dertamo has gone 9th fastest. Captain Cocky, 10th fastest for him. And Alpha is going to go 6th fastest on track. So a good lap from him as well. Spaghetti Chips, the only driver currently still on an outlap. We'll see what he can do in the Alfa Romeo, just scoring points in the last round of the championship. QVR Cortez, another lockup. That seems to be a particular locking up location for many of the drivers, trying to get the car stopped, trying to carry as much speed into the corners. That's really the key to Monaco, is how fast can you go and how much speed can you keep the car up. Only 4 drivers currently without times. Mickey MG, who has a problem. He almost hit the wall right there, coming out of turn number 1, as he is on an. Oh, and that's another. Oh, and that's some wing damage on the Haas, and that is not a good sound. In fact, does he have a puncture? He might have a puncture. Doesn't sound like he has a puncture, but there was definitely an odd sound coming out of the Haas. Nonetheless, QBR Cortez into the pit lane, not happy with his lap. Spaghetti Chips seems to have had to navigate around what was maybe one of the Williams cars. Nonetheless, here he comes. Well, I'm not too sure who it was, but nonetheless, Spaghetti Chips has come around the final corner. A valid lap this will be, and it's going to be best for 10 fastest. A solid lap from the Alfa Romeo driver puts him in basically the middle of the pack, just into the top 10. So he'll be pretty happy with that one. Of course, you want to qualify as high up as possible. And it is VER Devin who has found himself in pole position provisionally at the moment. Of course, he did win the last round of the championship, so he'll be looking to rebound here and get another win on the trot. 2 wins in a row would be very nice for Devin. VER Mike K, though, he's going to want to have something to say about it. He currently sits P2, and he's looking to extend his lead in the championship. Lewis, very impressive 3rd spot again, but is it really that impressive? Again, we have to mention Lewis maybe should be a little higher up in the championship given the pace we know he has, but a few mistakes in the championship have cost him a lot of points, so I definitely expect a good round from him as long as he can keep it nice and tidy. He currently sits 3rd on the grid with a 108.9, and he is one of only 3 drivers here in this session into the 108s. And there is Mark C, number 4 on the grid, just behind Lewis, just trying to get into the 108s. Mark CP, he hasn't always been as close to his teammate, but again, if he can keep that kind of position on grid, maybe even get a little higher, that definitely could help him bode well for Mercedes in the championship. Of course, they only sit 3rd at the moment, behind Haas, who sits 1st. Renault still has the lead in the Constructors' Championship. It is MMA Slash and Alpha who currently hold that spot. So they'll be looking for a big host of points. Haas and Renault, though, meanwhile, technically are tied, but Renault does hold the top spot as they most recently got the best position. 50 points apiece. Mercedes back by about 8 points as here comes Mark C to start another lap. Lewis is on a lap right now. He's in the tunnel section. VER Mike K a little bit further back, also in the tunnel section. Devin is about to begin his lap in the Haas, and we'll see how he can do. Can he extend his time in the leaderboards? There's Lewis flying through the swimming pool chicane. We're going to see how this lap turns out to be as Lewis is now braking and just keeping it out of the wall before coming into the final turn, putting it back on the power. DRS flap opens. Here we go. What will the time be? And it's going to be a 107.8, and it's pole position provisionally for Lewis. That is a mega lap time, and Mike K does improve 108.4, but a 107.8. That is a humongous lap from Lewis, and that puts him provisionally on pole position here. We're going to ride on board now with the Haas of Devin, who looks to have gone slower in the 2nd sector, as we'll see. The 1st sector. Let's see how he fares through the 2nd sector. What's the split going to be? Fastest in the 2nd sector, so he's got a little bit of pace in it, but is it enough to go faster as he breaks a big lockup but keeps it out of the wall? No, he's just going to go into the pit lane, so he wasn't happy with that lap. Not enough to improve enough to get him any further up than most likely 2nd. So Devin will settle for the pit stop, go back, regroup, get his head in shape. But unbelievable time from Lewis. That has put him in 1st position. Matt Tebos is hitting walls up and down the grid, and it doesn't look like this is a particular time he is going to want to worry about, but he is going to put it in anyway. We're going to see what kind of time he gets. He does have some front wing damage. Does he improve? No. Just 0.06 of a second slower, and he sits in 16th position at the moment. And Mickey MG, I gotta get used to that. Mickey MG, who I thought had spun around, but it's just how slow you have to go through that hairpin coming through the tunnel section right now. We'll see. Doesn't look like he's on a lap right now, so might just be conserving the tires, getting up some energy in the deployment system. There is Spaghetti Chips. He's dropped down only the 13th, so we'll see if he can improve here and get his car a little bit further up the grid. As Jules is on a lap right now, we'll see what he can do as we ride on board with the Racing Point driver coming into Casino Square, flicking the car through the turns, and now braking hard and early, and very little walk up there, so actually not a bad first sector for him. Now coming into the second sector, very crucial. A lot of time can be made up in some of these turns. As he comes back on the power into the tunnel section, the engine, that V6 turbo hybrid engine roaring. As another lockup, and maybe a little bit too late on the brakes because he had to really slow up the car. Devin lets him by through the swimming pool chicane. He's going to come, and it's going to be 3/10 faster. So this is actually looking like a pretty good lap right now from Jules. Might put him into the 108s. We might see him in the top 5 here as Jules comes around the final turn. DRS activated, and here he goes, coming across the line, and it is going to be a 108.9. Fourth fastest for Jules, and that is a mega lap time from the Racing Point driver. Puts him well up the grid, and he'll be very happy with that. Spaghetti Chips, I was about to jump to him, but he puts in a 108.9. It is just hundredths of a second faster than Dertamo, but it's best for a top 5 here at Monaco. Spaghetti Chips with a big lap time, as he was just talking about coming into this race. He is nervous as heck, as that is more of the, let's just say that's more of the PG version of what he said in the chat room, but he will be very happy with that. But QBR Cortez has put the second fastest lap time on the board, a 108.4, but just nobody able to touch the lap time that Lewis has set, 107.8. That is a humongous lap from Lewis, and I just don't see anybody getting close to that one. That is top stuff right there. That is world-class speed. Sometimes in Monaco, it's just whether or not you have it. Well, Lewis has it with about, oh, well, that was a cut and a half. Maybe trying to get back in the pit lane a little quicker. I'm not too sure about the ruling from stewards right there in terms of cutting the corner to get back into the pit lane, or just trying to set another lap. We'll have to wait and see. But nonetheless, Lewis sits provisionally on pole position, and he is going to go for another lap. So let's see. 5 minutes left to go in the session. Lewis comes around again. Can he go even quicker than that? Is there more hidden pace in that AlphaTauri that we just don't know about, as he's put it in hot lap mode, as he's flying through the corners in Casino Square, flicking the car back over, and just keeps it out of the wall. A late break, only 52 hundredths of a second slower in the first sector. Keeping it slow, going into the hairpin, maybe went a little deep, now flicking it back over. A lot of curb taken there, and now coming into the tunnel section, Sector 2. Is it looking tidier? We'll have to wait and see. Lewis is now coming up towards the chicane. We'll see how he handles it there, and handles it pretty good. Maybe a little deep in the later half of it. Now coming towards the swimming pool chicane. What is the Sector 2 split? He has gone faster in the second sector. Unbelievable. By about 1/10 of a second as he clips the wall a little bit there. Braking hard into the turn. Now coming into the final turn. Back on the power. DRS activated. Here comes Lewis. Can he extend his advantage at the top? Yes, he can. 107.6. That is provisional pole by a country mile at this point in the session. Lewis is looking to put it on pole here in Monaco, and he's making a very nice case to do so. 107.6 is the time that Lewis has put on the board. Unbelievable speed we are seeing from the AlphaTauri driver. What a huge boost this would be for them in the constructors. They only sit in 8th position with just a mere 14 points, but a big boost can be given if he can secure pole position, because that is a big probability for win here if he can keep pole position. But most drivers are sitting in the pit lane. Mickey MG is on an invalidated lap. We'll see if he's going around for another one. Yes, he is. We'll see how he can handle it. Ollie Flavel is on a lap right now, flying in through the casino square. Keeping it nice and tidy. He has actually gone yet a little bit faster in the first sector, so looking to improve. Only sitting 16th at the moment. Going to want to go a little bit quicker than that. Quicksilver has decided to retire from the session in the pit lane. He's quite happy with his 7th position, but can any drivers go ahead of him? Maybe knock him outside of the top 10. There's still plenty to play with here, as there are just about 2 minutes and 20 seconds left to go in the session. Ollie Flavel about to come to the end of Sector 2. XL Gary coming for a lap right now. Mark C now also on a lap. He's dropped back considerably as he has not been able to reach into the 108s like a few of the drivers have in this current session. Ollie Flavel, big lockup as you'd expect, trying to slow down the car before coming into the final turn. DRS was activated and he's going to come across the line and he's going to go 0.3 faster. Going to put him up to 14th on the grid. Maybe not the position he'd be looking for. That's pretty far down the order, but he is able to improve a little bit. That puts MMA Slash down to 15th, who has just not had a great session so far. Matt Tebow currently sits last on an outlap, and it looks like we had another better time put across. And yes, XL Gary puts himself 7th fastest, 108.6, so not a bad lap at all. Here comes Mike K. QBR Cortez is on a lap, and that was as close of a corner cut as you may get around here at Monaco coming into turn 1, but he gets away with it as he's flying in through Casino Square. Casino Square. Why did I just forget how to say casino? I don't particularly know. My brain is having a meltdown right now. Devin is still in the pit lane, so Devin is happy with his time. 108.1, that's best for second on the grid, but he is not going to be setting another time here in this current session. QBR Cortez is coming towards the end of Sector 2 into the chicane and going in there late, maybe a little too late. We'll have to wait and see, but is that what gets you faster around here? Maybe so. Swimming pool chicane, fastest in the second sector, but he's not improved by enough at the moment to, in fact, get ahead of Devin and put himself on the first row of the grid. The challenge in the turn 1. Problems getting back on the power. Here we go. QBR Cortez comes across the line, does improve his time, but it's only best for 3rd fastest. But he does have another lap he wants to go for it, but I don't think he's going to be able to. Here comes Mike K. Looks like he improved in the 2nd sector, so now coming into the 3rd sector here, coming to the end, back on the power. Can he improve? Mark C has retired in the pit lane and is 6th fastest. Mike K, his teammate, will only settle for 4th. Does improve, but not by enough. Brendan Glover looking a little sluggish through the hairpin, looking to improve faster than 5th. Spaghetti Chips has improved a little bit, but down to 12. Quicksilver, meanwhile, we mentioned again how he retired a little early, maybe a little too early, because he only sits 12 fastest. He got knocked out of the top 10. MMA Slash and Alpha, 10th and 11th. MMA Slash actually out-qualified by his teammate, but of course MMA Slash would be much happier to be in 11th position rather than the measly 15th he was before. Mickey MG is not on the lap, and that will be it pretty much for the session. And the only driver who can challenge right now is Brandon Glover, who goes faster but only stays 5th fastest. So it is Lewis, who by 0.5 of a second has gone himself onto pole position. You know, we talk about qualifying sometimes, how close it is. This is not close, ladies and gentlemen. This is a clear as day favorite in terms of outright pace here at Monaco. Lewis, mega lap time, 107.6. That's put him on provisional pole position, and that put him in a really good position as long as he can navigate turn 1 successfully to put himself on pole. For tenths of a second, almost 5/10 of a second separate him and Devin, who sits P2, QVR Cortez in P3, Mike K in 4th, 5th for Brandon Glover, Mark C in 6th, 7th for Gilles, 8th for Gary, Dertamo in 9th, and Alpha in the top 10. MMA Slash in 11th, 12th for Quicksilver, Spaghetti Chips in 13th, Captain Cocky in 14th, 15th for Mickey MG, 16th for Ollie Flavel, and Matt Tebow's 1.9 seconds off pole position, down in 17th position. But that was it for short qualifying action here, ladies and gentlemen, and we are just about getting ready for the start of the Monaco Grand Prix. Thank you so much for joining us live right now. You're watching live coverage of the Premier Sim Gaming League's Formula 5 World Championship. My name is Iosurwix, and we're just about to get set for action here at Monaco for the Monaco Grand Prix. It is going to be a very exciting race, nonetheless, an exciting qualifying for sure. Lewis has found himself on pole position after a monumental lap into the 107s, the only driver to reach the 107s in qualifying. So he is definitely looking to find himself a win here today. What a big boost that would be for him in the championship and, of course, for AlphaTauri in the championship. If you're enjoying the stream, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are just a few subs away from 1,000 subs here. Thank you, everybody, for the support. We deeply appreciate it here at PSGL, all of the staff and commentators who work so hard to bring you these streams, and of course, all of the drivers who make PSGL one of the top leagues in Formula 1 racing, period, as that singular red light comes on and the formation lap begins. And slowly coming off of his grid position is Lewis 11004, who finds himself on pole position here today at the Monaco Grand Prix. Let's get the tire detail up for you there. And it is Devin who finds himself second position. Third for QVR Cortez, Mike K in 4th position, Brandon Glover in the top 5. Mark C, P99, sitting 6th, just a one position down, well, 2 positions down, sorry, from his teammate. So actually not too bad of a gap there. Normally a little bit further from his teammate, looking to have a bit of a rebound and get Mercedes further up in the constructors. Gilles sitting 7th on the grid in his debut in his full-time seat. XL Gary in 8th position. Dertamo sitting in 9th. Alpha AZ is the last point scoring position at the moment per the grid order, and MMA Slash's teammate behind him, Quicksilver, sitting 12th on the grid. Spaghetti Chips in 13th, Captain Cocky in 14th, CGT Mickey MG sitting in 15th, Ollie Flavel sits 16th, and Matt Tebos sits last on the grid. Normally I'd go over the tire selection for the bottom of the grid order, but they have all decided that the medium tire is the strategy call that they want to put themselves on. The top 10, of course, have decided that the soft tire is the fastest tire. Of course, that is the goal to get on pole position here in Monaco, as Lewis lines up on his grid position. Devin alongside him. Devin has the outside line, not the preferable line, coming into turn 1. Very difficult to make an overtake happen. We'll see if he can do it, as Matt Tebow's lining up on his final grid position. So we're just getting ready for those 5 red lights to come on here, ladies and gentlemen, for round number 5 action here in Monaco, as we're just waiting. And it's 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. Round number 5 in the championship, and it's lights out and away we go. And it's Lewis who gets a good start ahead of Devin coming into turn 1. A beautiful start for the AlphaTauri driver, and single file line they come through turn number 1. Looks to be a little bit of side-by-side action for them, and it's Lewis though who leads the Monaco Grand Prix ahead of Devin in the Haas car. And we just have to wait for the for everything to update. But looks like QVR Cortez has found himself in 3rd position, and now the update right there. Mike K in 4th position. Brandon Glover keeps 5th, and 6th still for Mark C. But some side-by-side battling going down the order there, as it looks like Spaghetti Chips is ghosting through somebody right now. It's Captain Cocky who's going to get the better traction and end this ghosting stalemate. I'll have to wait and see. It's Captain Cocky Cocky, who is the driver who does so. So Spaghetti Chips not able to get a little bit of a further position up, and somebody's had a problem. Brendan Glover is without most of his front wing on this very first lap, and he's just going to let the rest of the grid go by, and that is a disaster, as he was sitting in 5th position, but now is all the way down to 17th on the grid. So already some damage now as well. Quicksilver into the pit lane. He has front wing damage. So a few drivers are now making pit stops after early damage. And those are Dirtamo, Captain Cocky, Brandon Glover, and Spaghetti Chips as well. Disappointing for him, sitting down in 13th now. He has to make a pit stop. He was looking pretty good in qualifying. A little bit of work to do now as he makes an early pit stop. Many of the drivers, in fact all of them it looks like, have decided to go onto the hard compound tire, make this a one-stop strategy till the end. Only one driver, Spaghetti Chips, deciding to go onto the mediums. That will give him the grip advantage coming ahead of those hard compound tire runners. Maybe find themselves some overtakes here at Monaco. But nonetheless, Lewis leads this by 1.1 seconds. So already he's gotten himself out of DRS detection range, but only for a moment, as Devin has caught up to him by about 0.2 of a second. Faster in the second sector is Devin, in fact. So Devin looking to try to find a way past Lewis in this early part of the race. Your predicted pit stop strategy presented by Amazon Web Services predicted very early pit stops for these soft tires. The soft tires are not going to last too long in this race. It's going to be a one stop from there. The medium compound tire is the predicted tire to go on. But of course, those drivers pitting on lap number 1 thinking maybe the medium tire just isn't going to last quite long enough. So they've decided the hard tire is the best strategy. Spaghetti Chips thinks differently, that he thinks maybe those mediums will go till the end. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, the drop-off will be a little faster for those mediums. So really, it's going to be how well does the very end of the tire span last for them, who is going to be faster near the end of this race. But we sit here on lap number 3. Well, I believe it's actually lap number 2, but nonetheless, lap number 3, it says, of lap 39. So 39 laps here at Monaco, half of the regular race distance as per normal PSGL procedure, 50% race after the short qualifying session. And Lewis is gliding his AlphaTauri through the streets of Monaco and finds himself in the lead of this race. And really, it is now a race of attrition. We don't expect a lot of overtakes. Really, it's can you keep your car out of the wall? Who has the most patience to keep it steady around here? Who can keep it within track limits? You don't want to be extending too much of that turn number 1. Penalties are going to be a big problem here for drivers if they do pick them up, because I don't expect many drivers to pick them up, but the drivers who do will be punished severely, as gaps are hard to make up here at Monaco. You just have to have more outright pace, but Lewis, we would suspect, has that outright pace. Again, he was fastest in qualifying by about half of a second, so he definitely has the superior pace, it looks like, outright here at Monaco compared to everybody else, but does he have the race pace? Devin sits back by 1.2 seconds. It is lap number 4 of this race. DRS has now been activated, but Devin cannot use it as he has not been able to keep himself within a second. That bodes well for Lewis. And oh my goodness, it looks like Devin, has he tapped the wall here? No, he hasn't, but it looked like the car jerked a little bit coming through the swimming pool chicane. So he's going to want to keep it nice and tidy here. Does not want to hit any barricades. Let's ride on board of Spaghetti Chips because he's starting to put the pressure on Quicksilver. Again, remember, Spaghetti Chips deciding to go onto the medium tire, and looks like Spaghetti Chips is going to enact our first overtake of the session here. And oh no, and it looked like Spaghetti Chips diving on the inside of Quicksilver. Quicksilver decided, no thank you, I'm going to close the door. But Quicksilver finds himself spun round and now behind Spaghetti Chips. Gonna be honest with you there, ladies and gentlemen, I think Quicksilver should have given Spaghetti Chips a little bit more room. I mean, the overtake was clear as day alongside him. That is, in my opinion, Quicksilver's fault. Spaghetti Chips definitely had the right to some space there in that particular corner. Quicksilver said, no, you don't. And that is unfortunately what the situation is there. So Spaghetti Chips now finds himself trying to make up some time on Dirtamo. as Quicksilver is now spun around on the hard tire. It's going to be very difficult to pick up any pace on Spaghetti Chips, given that he is on a inferior tire at this current stage in their lifespan. Now Brendan Glover has found himself close to Quicksilver, though, due to that spin round. So Quicksilver did have a good recovery after the spin, but now Brendan Glover is going to be looking to possibly get ahead of Quicksilver as long as he can stay within striking distance. Let's go through the grid order there as Mickey MG is starting to put the pressure on Ollie Flavel, about 6/10 back. Ollie Flavel just outside of DRS detection range from MMA Slash, so he's not getting any help from the Renault driver. Going up the grid order, though, look at this. 2.2 seconds. That is almost one of the biggest gaps on the rest of the grid order, not barring any big spins from anybody. And it's saying Dirtamo's down by a lap. I'm not too sure why. He sits 13th on the grid. But that is not good if the 13th driver is already back by a lap to the rest of the grid. So that is going to have a safety car to fix that ordeal for him. But I'm not getting a lot of updates from our Delta times. Quicksilver really struggling on those hard tires. Those tires do not give a lot of overall grip, and Brendan Glover right now seems to be feeling them a little bit better. A pit stop for XL Gary in the Ferrari, so a few positions gained for some drivers, but as we expect, these soft tires are reaching the end of their lifespan. 3.2 seconds now is the gap, though, as Lewis is just constantly increasing that time. Now, the big thing is the pit stops. And this is really key for Lewis because when he makes his pit stop, of course, Devin will take second position. But Devin is going to have to respond in kind. He really can't afford to extend the soft tire life any further than maybe 1 or 2 laps. He's really going to have to respond rather quickly. But Quicksilver now picks up a 3-second time penalty. And that's not going to help his case at all in this race as Brendan Glover continues to breathe down his neck there in 16th. But I suspect Lewis is going to make his pit stop rather soon. And when he does, Devin will have to respond quickly in kind. 3.7 seconds is the gap now. So this is crucial seconds here as Devin will respond with a pit stop. And that will allow Lewis to be much closer in the battle. Now both, it looks like Mike K and Mickey Gillette, has gone into the pits, and they're putting on the soft tires. So it looks like lap 7 seems to be the limit, lap 6, lap 7 for these drivers. Now 4 seconds the gap is about to be. So Lewis, despite nearing the end of the lifespan of these soft tires, is finding more and more grip and finding more and more time on Devin, who is just does not have the outright pace. As we said in qualifying, looks like Lewis maybe has a little bit of just an outright pace advantage here at Monte Carlo, and it's showing because Devin is losing time lap after lap after lap. Maybe Devin might have to take a risk and possibly make the pit stop first, try to go for an undercut, but that's unlikely to be the case. The overcut is normally the strategy to find yourself in. And Lewis stays out. Devin stays out of, I would believe. Again, undercut really not the optimal strategy. QBR Cortez has kept up with Devin a lot better. 1.4 seconds that gap. MMA Slash is putting the pressure on his teammate as Mark C now decides to go into the pit lane, and he is going to come out with the medium tires. So most of the grid now starting to get onto those medium tires to go till the end of this race. After that, it is a war of attrition. 5 seconds now, almost, is the gap between Devin and Lewis. Lewis just continues to take out time. If you're Lewis, you're thinking maybe, do I even have to make a pit stop at this point? I'm just gaining more and more time on my competitor. Now 5 seconds that gap. That is going to be very, very tough for Devin to then respond with his own pit stop if I'm Devin, respond immediately, given how much of the gap is, that 5-second gap. Lewis, when he makes his pit stop, it's going to have to be an immediate response from Devin in order to have any hope of keeping that position, but it's very unlikely given the gap. Lewis does stay out, so he's very confident in his pace. 5.5 seconds the gap. Now Devin actually makes the pit stop, so undercut now is the strategy call for Devin. QBR Cortez goes ahead of him. Now Cortez seemed to be a little faster overall in pace. 6.7 seconds though is the gap between Lewis and Cortez, but Devin has decided that maybe the undercut strategy is the strategy for him. Now Mike K is coming through the start finish line. Is he going to get ahead of Devin? This is crucial. Devin just keeps ahead of Mike K, so that was really big as he's on new tires. Mike K not able to get ahead of Devin, so that was crucial because Mickey MG, Ollie Flavel, and MMA Slash have yet to make pit stops, so he needed to at least get ahead of those drivers, but does he have enough to get ahead of the rest of the pack when they decide to make their pit stops? We'll have to wait and see. QBR Cortez, though, is back by 7 seconds now. Lewis is just continuingly making up more and more time. He is about to make his pit stop, I'm sure. In fact, he may respond to Devin, and yes, he does. Into the pits is Lewis. This is now crucial. Cortez, does he respond? Does he decide to go into the pit stop at the same time? Yes, he does. Jules has been given a 3-second time penalty. Again, you want to avoid those. The Renaults are now starting to come around. There is Flavel, and a few drivers are deciding to make their pit stops. Lewis coming out of the pit lane now. We're going to ride on board of Devin as he's coming down the start-finish line, and I believe that Lewis is going to keep ahead of him. Yes, he will. And Lewis, and it's Mickey MG who's had a problem in the Haas, and he's had a spin, and that's some front wing damage. That's going to be a pit stop for him. Unfortunate for Mickey MG. But the more crucial story at the moment, though, is that Devin has stayed behind Lewis. So the undercut strategy did not work out. 3.6 seconds is the gap. Lewis keeps provisional lead of the race. He is now starting to really get slowed up, though, by Flavel and MMA Slash, who are on very old mediums, 10-lap old mediums, in fact, as he just gets ahead of Flavel. Flavel does know, in fact, that is not his race to race, and gives up the position. So Lewis now looking on the rear diffuser of MMA Slash, looking to get ahead of him and put himself back into the lead. Does MMA Slash decide to make his pit stop now? He does not, so he decides to keep the lead of the race at the moment. Lewis looking to eat him up. He's got DRS. He's now going to move to the inside line, and he is going to make the move before turn number 1, and Lewis has put himself into the lead. Now we have more problems, and that's Mickey MG. As he looks like he's dropped some more positions, and he's going to make that pit stop now. Again, remember, he had that front wing damage. That's going to be detrimental to his race. Spaghetti Chips has picked up a time penalty, sits 12th at the moment. And more problems, and that's Quicksilver. Quicksilver has he just retired in the pit lane? It looks like he has. So Quicksilver just was not happy with his race and has decided that a pit stop retirement is the life for him here. Monaco just sometimes doesn't work out for you, and it looks like Quicksilver has decided he will not continue on with this race. So unfortunate for him, but nonetheless, Lewis is now in the lead of this race as MMA Slash finds himself second, and I assume is going to make a pit stop very soon. He does have to respond to his compatriots who have made their pit stops as well, but he does not do so yet. Lewis sets the fastest lap of the race on the mediums, 1:10.9, as Lewis really looking to secure the win here today, and it looks like, given any possible mistakes, which I don't want to curse any I don't want to give any commentators curse here today, so I'm just going to shut my mouth for that, but nonetheless, Lewis looks very good to secure a victory. Big thing is Ollie Flavel and MMA Slash yet to make pit stops. Now comes Devin. So Devin is really starting to get a little slowed down by these drivers. 12-lap-old mediums, that is a long time to not make a pit stop. Now, Flavel let by Lewis. Will he give the same recognition? Well, it looks like Devin just hasn't caught up enough to Flavel, so he's not able to make that pass. Flavel now has picked up 3 seconds of time penalties. That does not help this strategy that they're going for, which is a long and medium tire run. Much longer than anybody else in this race. I suspect Flavel should make the pit stop on this lap, given he picked up that penalty, but he does stay out, in fact. So Flavel stays confident on that current set of medium tires. MMA Slash the same. Now, are they overextending their strategy here? Again, as I mentioned, drivers, when they make their pit stops, really you should expect the opponents to respond within 1 to 2 laps, or you risk losing maybe a little bit too much time. Of course, it is Monaco, so not a lot of time to be gained overall, but 5.4 seconds the gap now between Lewis and MMA Slash. That's not really a battle we expect to be having, but Devin is just looking for an avenue to get ahead of Flavel. Now, Flavel was maybe a little bit more courteous with Lewis. He's giving Devin a little bit of a harder time getting past, but maybe he's also saying, well, you're maybe just not close enough, buddy. You gotta give me a little bit more leniency here. I'm in a battle of my own, and looks like he is maybe trying to find an avenue to let the Haas driver by, but he just can't do it. And now Mike Kay, given all of this squabble, has now caught up to Devin. So we have a fight on our hands here, as no pit stops yet for those two drivers yet. So they are still staying out. Jules now also behind, as Devin continues to try to find possibilities to get ahead of the Williams driver. Meanwhile, the gap to the lead now is 7.8 seconds. So commanding lead for Lewis. That is very difficult to make up that time, and I don't suspect we're going to see anybody who can do just that. Meanwhile, it is a Senna Mansell-esque battle in the mid-pack here, as Devin trying to find... Look at this. Ollie Flavel almost made a pass on MMA Slash there, as MMA Slash had a problem through the hairpin there. So Flavel in a battle of his own, which is why you really... And look at this. This is a big amount of momentum. He's going to dive on the inside, and he just can't do it. And now MMA Slash cuts a bit of the corner, and he might have to give the position up to him. And they move on the inside in the swimming pool chicane. And now side by side is Devin. Is there damage for anybody? Have they come unscathed? Yes, they have somehow. That is unbelievable that they were able to come about damage. MMA Slash decides now the pit stop is inevitable as he goes in. QBR Cortez also makes a pit stop on 4-lap-old medium, so he must have picked up damage. Is there a front wing ready there at Alfa Romeo? Yes, there is. So there's been front wing damage acquired on the Alfa Romeo. Not good for them. They might drop out of the points, and they may not be scoring points at all here today, unless, of course, anything happens. Well, Spaghetti Chips does actually move up to 10th, so there is 1 point for the Alfa Romeo team at the moment, as he currently is trying to chase down Dertamo. Brendan Glover comes out actually ahead of QBR Cortez, so only now down to 13th, so he's on very new mediums. He's going to be much faster than the rest of the drivers here near the end. But what a battle for the swimming pool chicane, a very unorthodox location for a battle. But now Flavel is in second position. Oh, well, Mike, is it retirement in the pit lane? Yes, it is. So it is Mickey MG, who's decided he is done with this race, has retired in the pit lane. He was way down the grid order on a old set of mediums. Maybe some damage picked up again. As we're on lap 17 of 39, and now Devin is still trying to find his way past Flavel, who is on 16-lap-old mediums. And you got to respect Flavel here. Devin might find it slow, and oh my goodness, he's trying to find an avenue, and he just can't do it. Flavel is staying ahead. Again, as we'd expect, it is very difficult to make passes around here at Monaco. And Devin cannot do so as Flavel continues to stay ahead in this race. Just getting a little bit of a breather because it has really just been non-stop action. This is really the kind of Monaco race you want to have. Very, very, very close racing. Devin is still trying to find a way past Flavel. 16 seconds actually now is the gap between first and second. That is unbelievable, and that is pretty much insurmountable. Devin has to find his way past Flavel, or Flavel has to make a pit stop. Is he going to do it this lap? No, he does not. Devin continues to stay behind the Williams driver. Now he's got the DRS. He's got ERS. I'm sure he's going to deploy as much as possible. He moves to the outside lane, and he is just going to make the move cleanly before turn number 1. And finally, Devin finds himself in second. Oh, geez, I'm just got to readjust my mic here, ladies and gentlemen. Just having a little bit of interference on my end. I'm hoping it's not sounding too bad on your end. You're watching live coverage of Formula 5 action here at PSGL. Lewis currently leads this race. We have a pass, looks like QBR Cortez has made a pass on Brendan Glover on very old hards. Brendan Glover is on. QBR Cortez makes mince meat. And, oh my goodness, a slide out of the casino section for him. And I'm just getting very odd sound fluctuations. That might be my headphones more than the actual microphone itself. So again, I do apologize for any interference on the microphone. But nonetheless, it is Formula 5 action. Round number 5 in the championship here at Monaco. If you're enjoying the stream, make sure to leave a like. Thank you for everybody who is tuning in live in this race. My name is Iserlix. I'm going to be commentating this race for you and have been, and it has been a pretty exciting race nonetheless. You might not expect it, as Lewis has just easily made such a huge gap. It's almost insurmountable at this point. 18.3 seconds. Even with damage, you may find Lewis even able to make a pit stop again and still find himself in the lead of the race. So Lewis is in a league of his own right now, ahead of Devin. Devin maybe could have had a chance, but given he had the battle with Flavel, who is now on 18-lap old mediums, this is a very unorthodox strategy. Will it work out, though? I mean, the gaps are starting to form a little bit now here at Monaco, so maybe Ollie Flavel can find himself in a comfortable position inside the points after the pit stop is made. But now VER Mike K is trying to find his way past Flavel and put himself in a podium position here. But he is having problems getting past the Williams driver. Jules, meanwhile, also looking to possibly capitalize there. And oh my goodness, Mike K got very close to the rear diffuser there. That could have been wing damage if he wasn't too careful. Here comes Mike K. Does he have enough to make an overtake in this turn? No, he does not. He finds himself still behind in 4th position with Jules in 5th position. And he is just having problems, not able to find a way past Flavel. Flavel has really been a thorn in the side of a few drivers here today, but you got to give it to him. 19-lap old mediums now for Flavel. He is just having a great race. Let's bring up the telemetry. Let's see what he's playing with here. He's got about 22% in the tank. I suspect he has used a little bit of overtake at the start, maybe using even more on the start-finish line, trying to keep ahead of some drivers. Mike K, meanwhile, is deploying as much as possible. He's got the DRS there, and now braking hard into the chicane, makes the move just about. He had a little bit of a step out from the rear. It looked like he made contact with the Williams driver, but does get ahead of him. So Mike K up in the 3rd position now, and now Flavel may be thinking for a pit stop. Let's see, Jules is trying to maybe capitalize and get himself ahead of Flavel as well. But Flavel, you got to give it to him. He really is keeping up pace of some of these drivers, but now Mike K in the clean air may start to get a bit of a gap. But yeah, you can see there Flavel is using a bit of ERS on the start-finish line, which is giving him that gap. And look at this, there's another pass. And QBR Cortez has somehow found himself ahead of MMA/ in through the final turn of the lap. And now is behind his teammates. So are we going to see the Alfa Romeos battle a little bit? We'll have to wait and see. The real story is right here, though. Jules looking for maybe an outside move on the hairpin, but a little bit too far back for that eventuality to occur. Eventually, he will get past him. It depends on when. Is it a pit stop or is it an overtake? Gilles is probably looking for an overtake because he does not want to stay any further behind, because as he continues to stay behind Flavel, Mike K with the superior tire life is just going to eat away time, and 1.4 seconds is that gap right now. And Gilles is not going to remain patient for long as we get a beautiful helicopter shot here from the sky view here at Monaco. Flavel stays out. Can you believe that he is still out here on 21-lap-old mediums, and he is defending for his life against Gilles. Gilles, meanwhile, does also have penalties of his own. The graining is not too much on those medium tires, so you may expect that the tires may just have enough life in them, but a pit stop was due a long time ago for most drivers, but Flavel is putting on a show. Does it get into the territory of slowing up drivers? It's iffy. Again, it is Monaco, but you got to give it that he is having a good battle with him. And in the comments section from Human Fish, Flavel train on board. That is definitely true. Flavel is creating a bit of a train. Mike K has now extended the gap there from third to fourth. 2.3 seconds is the gap. Meanwhile, can you believe it? Not a lot of ERS to play with, actually, for Lewis. I was expecting him to have more, but Lewis has made a gap of 26 seconds, and that is not... You know, you can give it a little bit to Devin, as he was behind Flavel for a good period of time, but the other seconds here, that's just outright pace, ladies and gentlemen. It's 26 seconds, the gap now. Again, let's not forget, Lewis could make a pit stop later in this race, go into soft tires, and he would still be in the lead of this race. That is unbelievable. The gap he has been able to build in this race, just the outright pace here above the rest. This is Lewis's race to win, as long as he can keep everything under control. But again, we don't want to commentators curse anybody here, so I'm just going to stay shut about it for the moment. But it is, in baseball sense, it is a perfect game right now for Lewis. Through 23 laps. Gilles, meanwhile, has actually dropped back a little bit from Flavel, so he just hasn't been able to find his way past. Flavel was on, it looks like he has made a stop already, so let's actually bring up the details here. Trying to see stop, so no, Flavel has not made a pit stop, but he is on 22 lap old. It's just very odd how they don't line up with the actual amount of laps that we've had in the race. Someone waiting for a safety car. That is probably true. TNR in the comment section with a good insight there. Yeah, probably waiting for a. Well, actually, I would expect now why he isn't that close. We're having another pass down the order. QBR Cortez has made a pass under Tomo. And now Spaghetti Chips is under a lot of pressure from MMA Slash. Now, Spaghetti Chips is on medium tires, so you'd expect it to be the superior tire. But in fact, MMA Slash now actually has maybe more grip than Spaghetti Chips. Spaghetti Chips mediums are 22 laps old, so again, he's pretty much in the same boat, though, as Flavel. So now MMA Slash actually on much newer hard tires, so that is why we're actually seeing that that close battle there. In fact, MMA Slash will be looking for an overtake very soon. Riding back forward with, though, Gilles. Still not able to find his way past Flavel. The Flavel train continues. As I'm trying to just readjust my headphone there so I can hear everything going on in my my headphones, which I was finally able to fix. Some zip ties were able to keep the cups on my ear. So now I can use my nice Audio Technicas again. I can hear all of the engine notes in their beauty. Captain Cocky, meanwhile, has picked up a rather unnecessary penalty of 5 seconds. He sits 44 seconds back as he cut across the pit lane line, and in fact has now picked up a corner cutting penalty as well. So insight from there. So Flavel, yeah, for sure Flavel is going for the soft tires. I'm not too sure how long they last. I don't think they're going to last 20. I mean, there's still a lot of laps left to go in this race. This is not over by any stretch of imagination. In fact, we're only really a little bit over halfway in this race. So Flavel surely definitely is going for the soft tires at this point, but it's going to be difficult, I think, that strategy call. And yeah, as TNR mentioned there, about 10 to 15 laps, you'd expect the soft tires to last. You're really not going to get a long-lasting time out of them. So Ollie Flavel still has a bit of time to go before he can realistically make a pit stop. There's still a lot of laps left in this race. But nonetheless, he stays fourth at the moment. Now, Brendan Glover has made the pass on MMA Slash, who was in the pit lane, and he has to make a wing change. So MMA Slash has just not had a race to remember. He sits on the soft tires, and that's not just going to make it till the end, I think. Maybe just till the end. 27 of 39. He may make it till the end on those softs, but it is going to be close. 15 laps at a maximum. So now a pit stop for Matt Tebos. Matt Tebos is not confident on the softs as he decides to go on to new mediums. Captain Cocky's actually out of this race, looks like. I didn't actually see a disconnect. But it looks like he is out of this race. Not too sure unless he just quit on his own attrition. Well, actually, he's made a pass on one of the Renaults. Not too sure who that was. That looks to be, is that Alpha? Is Alpha out of this race? Not too sure. Captain Cocky is still going faster somehow. Flavel has finally made the pit stop and goes on to the soft. So now he thinks he can go till the end. He actually is going to just, is he going to stay out in the points? His teammate Brendan Glover's right there, and he does stay in the points. So that was crucial. As Brendan Glover is on a similar strategy, it was crucial. At least he got ahead of his teammate into the points, but now he is clearly the fastest man on track with the newest set of soft tires. So we'll see how many positions he can gain, if at all, or at least can he keep in the points and score 1 point. It would be a successful race nonetheless if he can do so. But look at Lewis here. 34.9 seconds, now going to be about 35 seconds. That is unbelievable. That is truly unbelievable. Maybe it is blue flags, actually, that's causing that ghosting. In fact, that might be what it is. Because I haven't gotten any messages of anybody disconnected out of the race. But Lewis is having an absolute thriller of a race. 35.5 seconds, and the gap just continues to grow. Devin is under pressure, meanwhile, from Mike K. So Devin has not had the same fortunes as Lewis and has not been able to build a gap on the Mercedes driver, who now finds himself in DRS range and possibly overtake range if he can find a way past. There are about 13 laps to go in the race. 12 laps, actually, if you are Lewis. And Mike K is looking to find an avenue past. Jules, meanwhile, really in a bit more of a race of his own, 4.6 seconds ahead of Mark C. And Mark C, 1.4 seconds back from him. As yes, in fact, that is ghosting, is why we're seeing that that constant ghosting on the cars. Is nobody disconnected, is mainly just a pit stop. And in fact, Captain Cocky into the pits, and he is retired. So that is it for Cocky. He was getting lapped in this race, and he makes his pit stop and in fact retires out of the race. And just frustration from him, the Red Bull driver, not able to find pace here at the streets of Monte Carlo. His teammate, meanwhile, is in ninth. 2.9 seconds, though, is the gap between Dirtamo and Flavel, as Dirtamo's on very, very, very old, hard tires. So he is going to have to make a pit stop very soon and go on to the soft tires. In fact, let's look at the details there as he made a stop. So he actually has made a stop. So that is a different tire for him. so he's maybe looking to go till the end, but Flavel is going to eat him up very soon. 2.2 seconds is the gap. Let's right on board of Alpha, because he is behind XL Gary, trying to find an overtake of his own. Mike K and Devin and Alpha and XL are the drivers to watch out for right now. And now look at this. Cortez is trying to get in the mix. This might be a little bit of a three-way battle. Look at Cortez trying to find an avenue around the penultimate corner. XL Gary makes a pit stop, and now some overtake and DRS activated for Cortez. Fight time here at Monaco. And Dertamo has made the pit stop. XL Gary makes the pit stop. He remains in 10th. There's Brendan Glover. Does he find himself in the points? Yes, he does. Into the points. Brendan Glover ahead of XL Gary. XL Gary drops outside of the points onto new softs, but surely he's going to make the pass quickly on Brendan Glover. Flavel is up into 9th position now after that pit stop, and now is 1 second back from Dertamo. A move surely to come, as long as he finds the right avenue to make it. Lap 30 of 39. We are just about 10 laps to go in this race. Now 9 laps to go if you are Lewis. Lewis has made enough of a gap to make a pit stop and go into the soft tires till the end. That is masterclass performance right there. Overall speed, the gap is still well over 10 seconds to Devin, and that is just amazing that he was able to do that onto the soft tires till the end of the race, and he is just going to clearly go for fastest lap. So just that is really a as long as everything stays all good, that's a grand slam right there. That's fastest lap. If he gets it, that's the win, and that's pole position. Devin, 17 seconds back, is now battling with Mike K for that position. Flavel has gone ahead of Dertamo, as we'd expect, up into 8th position. Now the gap is 6.4 seconds to 20-lap-old medium tires. Those soft tires, though, as again, we have to mention, do not have a whole lot of lifespan out of them. They have enough, but they will start to see the end of their competitiveness a little bit sooner than you'd like to expect. So I'm not too sure if Flavel has the pace to get ahead of Alpha. I think Alpha will be safe in 7th position. Flavel, though, still a good strategy to put himself up into 8th position. If we bring up the detail for positions gained, Flavel is up 8 positions, so this is a huge strategy that he has put himself up on. Brandon Glover, obviously, maybe the biggest loser here, 5 places lost. He was sitting in P5 at the beginning of the race. Of course, that spin at the beginning had put him down in last. He'll be very happy to at least have some points on the board. XL Gary also down 5 positions from where he was in the points at some point here, but unfortunately not the case to be. Flavel, the biggest winner, though, out of everybody. Let's get back up the tires. 30-lap-old hards, both for Dertamo and Brendan Glover. That is unbelievable. And there goes fastest lap. 1:10.7. 1:10, right. 1:10.7 is the fastest lap of the race, and it is set by Lewis, who on lap 33 of 39 has a commanding 22-second lead in this Monaco Grand Prix. And in my time of commentating league races, this has been the most dominating performance I have seen at a race, period. I know it's Monaco. I know that overtaking is a spare, a dime, and a dozen. But this is still the best performance I have ever seen out of a driver at a league race. This is just there just was never any doubt, really. You saw the lap time, that pole position time, a clear 0.5 of a second clear, almost ahead of the rest of the pack from Devin. And now Mike K, who has problems out of the rear. It's just been an easy race, it feels like, for Lewis. Almost no effort, it feels like. And XL Gary has retired in the pit lane. So that's another driver down here. He is done with this race. He has lost a lot of positions, and he is done in this particular race. Spaghetti Chips is trying to find the possibility of getting ahead of Brandon Glover and put himself into the points. That would be really nice for him if he can get that to happen. 3.8 seconds the gap. We'll see if he can do it towards the end. Mike K, meanwhile, has dropped back a little bit from Devin, 0.6 of a second. 0.4 of a second, meanwhile, is Jules. So Jules still very much in this race, but again, like we have mentioned before, sometimes it's more of a war of attrition than anything. MMA Slash has picked up a 3-second time penalty. Alpha does not have a penalty. So if we actually let's bring up the detail right there for penalties. Let's see what we're dealing with here. So if Alpha can get himself within 3 seconds, he can at least pick up 6th position. But currently he's on the fringes of that. As we bring back up the tire data, 32-lap old hards for Dirtamo and Brendan Glover. If they make that work, hats off to them. That is that is almost an entire race to be on that tire. QBR Cortez has picked up now another penalty, so that helps Alpha tremendously. Now it's 6 seconds till the end of this race. As long as he can keep up relative pace, we're looking at 6th place probably for Alpha. Cortez is going to drop back a little bit. As we continue the ride on board of Devin, who is really the only person having a race up at the top of the standings here in the race, as Lewis continues to have a nice race for himself here at Monaco. Devin is under a lot of pressure from the championship leader. Mike K is trying to find an avenue past Devin. They're on pretty much the same tires. In fact, Devin on newer tires, in fact, but he seems to not have the same type of pace. But remember, pace is one thing. Overtake opportunities are another, and Mike K has little moments like that. You can see there the car just snapped from the back, and he had to really keep it under control and find himself still pointing straight. Jules, meanwhile, also trying to find a way past. Let's ride on board of Cortez. He's trying to find a way past Mark C, who finds himself in a very comfortable 5th. Yellow flag in sectors 2 and 3. Not too sure who that was for. I hope it's not for Alpha. Might have just been a driver slowing down. Oh, look at this. Cortez, has he had damage? Looks like he made contact with Mark C there for a second. Looked like they were very, very close. But it looks like he has remained calm and collected and kept his car without damage. But Mark C has been able to get a bit more of a gap, some safety room here. Look at this. This is really the Senna-Mansell battle that you love to see here at Monaco. Sometimes it's that inches of gaps here at Monaco to just put you on the edge of the seat. You never know when somebody's going to be able to possibly make a dive bomb on the inside coming into the chicane of Sector 2, or maybe even a swimming pool move like we saw early on in this race. But as Lewis begins lap 37 of 39, Mike K continues to trying to find ways past Devin and has yet to do so far. And coming into the swimming pool chicane, about to begin their own final 3 laps of this race. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. We are into the final 3 laps of this Monaco Grand Prix. And Mike K just cannot find a way past. Looks for a move on the outside. Can't quite make it happen. Devin continues to keep 2nd position. They are without penalties. Jules, meanwhile, does have penalties, but he will not drop back too much, I believe, from Mark C. I believe they both have 3 seconds. If we just bring up the details right there. Yep, 3 seconds for both of them. Alpha is looking good to pick up 6th position from Cortez. And Mike C just trying to find a way past. Not able to do it. Devin is, you have to give it to Devin here as he is putting on a masterclass defense here. Just not able to, just able to find ways to keep those 2 drivers behind him. And now a bit of a gap has started to form here on the penultimate lap of this race, which has begun for Lewis. 39 seconds is the gap in that race. Lewis is just on a tear. Fastest lap, lead of the race, pole position. Lewis is on the verge of the first Grand Slam of the season for PSGL Formula 5, and what a driver who maybe deserves it more than anybody, because Lewis, who has had many struggles in this season, finally is going to be looking for a win here, as long as he can just survive a lap and a half more. Devin, meanwhile, continues a masterclass defense ahead of Mike K. Gilles in fourth. Fifth for Mark C. and Spaghetti Chips picks up another penalty, but he should be good to go, as Brandon Glover is far behind him. In fact, he's on new soft tires, 22-lap-old soft tires. Spaghetti Chips is looking to score some points here, and he'll be pretty happy with that one. Some good performances out of his tires has put him within the points. And there is Lewis, lap 39 of 39 in this race, as he just come up to the Alfa Romeo driver of Spaghetti Chips and will soon pass him on blue flags. And here comes Devin, coming towards his own final lap of this race. The gap has now started to increase between these drivers. They could only battle for so long. Now it is preservation. Oh my goodness, never mind that. Devin braking as late as he can. Now it is the final lap, so any last lap dives, he will have to wait and see if he can make those happen, but right now it's not looking good, and you may find yourself, Devin and Mike, in your position second and third. Meanwhile, Lewis, 43 seconds ahead of the rest of the pack, coming through the swimming pool chicane, coming around the penultimate turn. It has been the absolute best performance I've ever seen as I've commentated league races. Lewis coming across the line is going to win the Monaco Grand Prix. 44 seconds is the gap. Devin still has a lot of a race left to battle here, but what a win for Lewis. Devin still has to contend with, it's actually Gilles. Gilles has made it past Mike K. Not sure what happened there. I was too focused on there. Brendan Glover has actually just snatched the fastest lap at the end there. You gotta give it to Brendan Glover, but he's stolen the Grand Slam from Lewis. But nonetheless, Mike K has actually dropped back 1.3 seconds. He has lost that podium position, and now he just hits the back of Devin. It's so very close to the end of this race, but Devin, I believe, will keep it, and Mike K will actually probably jump ahead of Gilles. And yes, dropping just out of the podium is Gilles after the penalties, but it is Devin who gets second, but it is Lewis who wins the Monaco Grand Prix. That was unbelievable. Ollie Flavel, easy driver of the day material. That was one of the best strategies calls I've actually ever seen. You really didn't think that was going to work out if you were watching it, but wow, what a race. That, you know, there's just not a lot of overtaking in Monaco, but what these drivers put on today in F5 is about as best as you can get. As the confetti flies and Lewis picks up the win. Finally, retribution from Australia. Lewis picks up the win here at the Monaco Grand Prix. And if you are VER, you are pretty happy, as they just mentioned. It's a 2-3-4 in F5 as Lewis wins it. Devin in second, third for Mike K. Gilles in fourth, fifth for Alpha AZT, and sixth for Mark C. So Alpha actually jumps up to fifth. What a great position for him. Cortez in seventh, Ollie Flavel in eighth position, ninth for Dirtamo. Spaghetti Chips scoring the final points of the session. Brandon Glover in 11th position, 12th for Slash, and 13th is the final actual position for Matt Tebow's. Exo Gary, Captain Cocky, Mickey MG, and Quicksilver all out of this race. Not because they're crashing, they have decided to retire on their own right, but a final race time of 47 minutes, 27 seconds, and 9/10 of a second. Lewis is your winner in this Monaco Grand Prix, and we're going to get the drivers in just a second for some podium interviews and they can talk us through what was just a really awesome race. Thank you, everybody who joined us live. That was as best you can get here in Monaco. They really did put on a show. And as we move towards the middle of the season, the stakes cannot get higher in the championship. But finally, some big point haul for AlphaTauri, at least in the terms from Lewis. Let's get into the showroom. And let's get on with that AlphaTauri. And let me just get an invite rolling now for some of the drivers on the grid, and we'll just get some podium interviews getting ready in just a moment's time. We'll add you, and we then now get VER drivers. And then we will get VER Devin in there. But meanwhile, while I am inviting the final person into the podium interview room, let's talk with Lewis. You have won the Monaco Grand Prix, and as I mentioned a few times on the stream, I haven't seen a better race performance out of any driver, in my opinion. That was just absolute. It seemed like a breeze for you. Talk us through that race and how you secured the win today.
Well, my main focus in qualifying was just getting a good lap together to get pole position, because it's quite important around here. I got a good jump off the line, therefore holding my P1, and then just kept it from there. And then when we got to, after we pitted, we got to like Ollie and Slash, so I got my way past them, and then they held up the rest of the guys basically for me to secure the win.
For sure, as you finish well over 40 seconds, and you just, unfortunately, had the fastest lap snatched away from you. That would have been a Grand Slam of fastest lap win and pole position, but Brandon Glover just picking up the fastest lap at the end of the race. But nonetheless, great performance from you. And it looked like we also had Mike K in the party as well, who, yes, picked up third position in the race. Talk us through there. You had a last lap pass there before picking up it again on penalties. But talk us through that race for you and some struggles, I'm sure, as trying to get past some of the drivers.
Yeah, thank you. A lot of struggles, that's true, but picked it really early, I think lap 6 or 7 something, so the tires were completely done in the last 5 laps, and I picked up some damage at the half of the race, don't know the lap exactly, and Devin picked up even more damage, so I had a major pace advantage, but he didn't let me pass. What it's his decision, and I respect that, because we're in the same team, we are talking together, but yeah, I didn't have a chance to pass, and in the last lap the tires were completely finished and I couldn't even brake. The pedal was to the floor, but the car didn't stop, and Jules get by, but I knew he had a penalty, so there was not a major problem, but it is something to think about because the pace was really bad at the final stint, so when I come back at Monaco I have to do something better.
Well, nonetheless, though, it was still a good performance from you. You boost your position in the championship, and I don't believe we're going to have Devin in the party here today, so I will be signing off for you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. That was live coverage of Formula 5 World Championship from Premier Sims Gaming Leagues. If you enjoyed the live stream, make sure to leave a like and then subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are just a few subscribers away. In fact, 3, it looks like, not actually 2 updated from 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. Absolutely insane number. Thank you for everybody who joined us live. And my name is ISOX, signing off once more. Make sure to join us for the middle of the season coming up to you in just a few moments' time. Again, my name is IrisOX, signing off once more, and have yourselves a wonderful night.